my name is Alexa Littlestar. I'm here today with Maria Yraceburu. We're on the property of Yraceburu Ranch here in Ramona, and we're talking a little bit about spiral dance. We come here for retreats. We come here for learning, for lessons, for ritual, for ceremony. We come here to heal. We come here to remember. We come here to come home.
We're going to make it fun.
Yes.
With Tlish breathing, the breath work speaks to what we call the Kyong, which are actually, most people know them as chakra, and we have 13. But we believe those power vortexes within our body hook up with the power vortexes of Mother Earth. And this is how we receive our empathetic reality, which is transmuted kind of like on 7 levels of energy. So it is pretty simple. It's, think of praying, okay, which we don't do the same way either, but it's more about the hand position. So instead, you want to come down, and as you're coming down, you're inhaling. And when you get down to about your belly button, you're turning your hands in. It's a maneuver where your hands never separate, and they go like this, and then they make a cup. And then you're going out, and you're offering that breath to the world. And then you're bringing it back, and you're inhaling. And since we've got 13 Kyong, I may lose my number here while I'm doing this and talking, but you kind of get the idea for the motion. We do that 13 times when we're praying. And this is contained in almost every ceremony we do, from morning prayers down to, rites of passage and the Nayaguchalada, the earth magic ceremonies that keep time moving, keep us moving forward. This is part of what makes part of the we, so many philosophies talk about the becoming of one and being whole with totality. That's what all our relations is. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm offering them that connection, and I'm asking them to call me back. It's a telephone line, okay? And we make that connection every morning, and I know my path is going to be swept clean by my ancestors, and anything I see out of the realm of mine, that may take some explanation. Out of the realm of mine is mine to witness, not to do. It's a thing we call non-interference. And non-interference means that when I am asked to use my skills or intercede on behalf of others, to be there, even at car accidents or something like that, then I'm Johnny on the spot. And I'm really good in emergency situations, by the way. I've attended to more than one car accident. So it's knowing when to act and when not to act, and that's based on knowing what my skill set is, knowing what I am capable of doing, knowing what my energetic resources are in the moment. So basically, looking at things, and it doesn't take longer than 45 seconds usually, and assessing, do I have what's needed here? It's a silent prayer, okay, of connection, without thought, without words, without anything. It is sharing the breath, it is sharing the love. Well, the first prayer of life, I say it like 18 million times a day. It's a prayer that pretty much answers all the questions that human beings have ever asked to me, like who are we, where do we come from, and why are we here? And learning it as a small child gave me that sense of belonging to everything. Everybody lived the prayer, so it wasn't just that we said it, we believed it. It was that we lived it within everything we did and still do to this day. So, like when people ask, where do I come from? Nagotsanala was on, Yal was on. I come from the Earth Mother. I come from the Sky Father. So that speaks to, to me, it's actually kind of a response I have to people that like to tell me they're not from here. Because yes, we are from up here, and yes, our inspiration lies up here, and we are striving to evolve as spiritual beings. But the thing is, we're also striving as earth beings, and we came here to experience life on this plane. So we're from both. We're an amalgamation. How's that for a word? I don't know. It just popped into my head. Of the two. So actually, there was something this morning I was thinking about, which is, a lot of our women in community are all about the embodiment of the feminine, the embodiment of the masculine, and they're really concerned about it. And it's like, okay, it's not about embodying one or the other, it's embodying both. And femininity, women have, even before I was born, taken on all the attributes of the masculine, the go, 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 proactive. We have to fight. We have to do this. We have to do that. And somewhere we lost our identity as the family people, right? As having any power. And what I want women to know is when you look at, I'm a mother, and you don't think that's powerful, you just depleted Mother Earth. Okay? So these things are words. Our words contradict everything, and what we need to do, and I don't even like the word need. Need speaks to the wound, okay? Anytime you say I need, you're telling the whole world what your wound is. So, yeah. And depending on how you feel about your vulnerability and how strong you are and who you are, that may not be okay for you. I really don't usually have a problem with it. Mm-hmm. But it's the balance, and yet it's not the balance. It's the realignment. Mm-hmm. We've had an assignment in spiral dancing that speaks to the realignment of the Kyong as we're going into the summer solstice. It's not a balancing. It is literally a realignment to the earth changes, to what Mother's going through, to ease the sensations happening within our physical structure as we mutate. Mm-hmm. The more in alignment we are with her, the easier it is on our body.
When you speak of up there, when we speak of the star lineage, we speak of the Pleiades a lot, the sister clans.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean when you say up there? Is that what you're thinking of? The origin, of our amalgamation.
A lot of people talk about star nations and extraterrestrials and what's out there in the universe. And in indigenous mythology, we're all linked to like another family that's living just over the horizon in the galaxy, what we call the crack in the universe. And most Native American tribes that I've had much association with, they all trace through the Pleiades. But it's different. It's different depending on where you are on the planet. Some places on the planet never see the Pleiades, so they don't really have a lot of connection there. The Pleiades are They're really visible in our night sky during the winter. They really start, I'm from Arizona, so they really start showing up over our little canyon in the November sky, maybe just before Thanksgiving time. And they're there until like February, March, and then as the sun rotates, or the earth rotates a little on her axis, then we move into not being able to see her. You got to really look for her. And just so you know, you go up the Big Dipper to handle, and then you go boop, and she's right there. Okay, so that's how to find her even when you can't see her or them. So we got our family lineages through the animals that we associate with the Pleiades.
Is that consistent through the Native American community, or is that specifically?
No, that's pretty generic. That doesn't sound like the right word. But it is throughout most of Native America. So, like, I can go to Cherokee and they have a snake clan. I'm Apache snake clan. I can go to them and we're family, whether we've ever met before or not. Hopi snake clan. There's been a lot. I have many names from other tribes. The Lakota called me Little Girl with Big Knife. Ooh. And that's stuck. A lot of people know me as that. But yeah, that's another thing. Don't get trapped by a name because they're just a label for a moment. Well, the naming process is that I got taught that everybody that was pretty much going to gravitate to me to learn from me these things that I was given is somebody from our lineage. And that's what it called, was the familiarity, the sense of familiarity. Most of the time I ask people to feel into it. And if the name gives you a message, or if you actually have a dream, like of a past life, because a lot of people that come to Spiral Dance are past life dreamers, right? To share with me what you get, right? And what I am watching for, what my grandfather watched for, was when you actually tap the essence of who you once were as, like, 5 times removed generations, a cousin of mine, or something like that, you know. And so when a person taps that essence, then we have, it's interesting, we have a way in. That's kind of the way to describe it. And it's not in like I'm going to do bad stuff, but it means I now have a new avenue that I can speak in certain terms and that person's going to get it. Okay, so it opens the doorways so the communications become more familiar. And that's kind of how we teach. We kind of like immerse you in the things and say, here, go do this. A lot of homework assignments. I give homework, by the way.
Thank God.
And you go do it, and it's homework assignment. There's a lot of homework assignments, but there's also a lot of self-discovery, self-ownership. And I find that if I'm holding a lot of classes, instead of just putting you through the energetic ceremonies, initiations, and rites of passage, whatever, that go with the lessons, then what you're getting is self-confidence, yourself, not a mimic that's gonna like regurgitate what I've said. Nobody can do it for you. You know, we can support and we can share tools, but that's about all we can do. You got to undertake it yourself.
How do you experience meeting somebody from a past life when you actually get a felt sense that this person has somehow more direct,
okay,
you know, like somebody you maybe
somebody within recent history memories. I actually have people within our circle that that actually were there for my last lifetime, and we were really good friends, and we're really good friends now. And I haven't told them yet. I mean, they know they were part of the family, and we do have that sense of ease being together because it's within that conscious memory. It's not just like I've gone back 7 generations and had a dream or something like that. No, it's actually, I, for me, I can see the overlays of when her and I are doing something. I can see me as my great grandmother doing it with her, like in the 1880s, right? And it's like, it's weird. It's really weird. And that's what we call time overlapping, is when you see like celluloid.
Yeah.
And that a lot of times for people that see is kind of the key. To this person and I were really close in the last lifetime.
This experience of time overlapping, would you think that is the closest metaphoric explanation for children, when children are in the magical state, before we adapt, before we get wounded, when children see or experiencing those veils, those thin, would you think that's the same?
Yeah, I would say that's the same. It's before they get shut down. There's a lot of reasons given for why we can't remember. In our custom, I remember hearing my aunts talk about the veil of forgetfulness, that the veil was laid over us to protect us for whatever reason. The Cherokee and many of the tribes, for a long time, if you had a baby, they were doing this, God, back in the 1600s. They would lay the veil over the baby's face so that they would forget they were Indian, so that they could survive in the white man's world.
Wow.
So there's that part of it. That's a more kind of recent history with it, but I mean it goes back, through the legends, which show us how we de-evolved, and then the prophecies guide us on how we're to re-evolve. They talk about Grandmother Bear, who's our primary healer and manifester, and she's the one that laid that veil over us. Because we were forgetting who we were, and she laid that veil over us, and she said, okay, now you're going to have to work to remember.
The remembrance. Yeah. The stories that you tell in the book that you wrote, the Kiri Apache book that we all have, Legends and Prophecies, the stories that you wrote, are those the stories that been in the family for a long time, and was it given orally to you?
Yeah.
And did you have to channel it, or did you just rely
No, well, it's both. Okay, it's both. One, I never thought I would write a book to start with, and now there's like 30 out there or something. Between work manuals and everything else. Most of them are prayer books, because that's the foundation of everything. But when legends came along, I heard these stories growing up. There's one attached to every one of the major ceremonies, and so what it is a major ceremony is like a play, an interactive play that pulls upon the parts that are in the story through ritual, and we reenact it. And that's like the middle part between the de-evolutional myth and the re-evolutional process, is that ceremony that lies in between. And so I've been hearing these stories like forever, right? I'm old, by the way. And I'm proud of it. I don't mind telling people I'm old. I really like it.
Oh, they're good stories. They're good stories that have a lot of healing in them. That's why you make us read them, doing those rituals. I'm slowly starting to make the connection with the stories. It takes a while.
Yeah.
Everything takes a little bit of time, because of, it's almost like you're laying out breadcrumbs, and like having to find a way to the places so we can connect with
Well, that's kind of like with walking the wheel. Okay, so it's like step by step experiencing each one, and then you go back and you look and you see, oh, what's really relevant to me. And that's the part of, oh, here, I need something out of the book, I throw it on the ground, and wherever it opens, that's the part I need to read. And the dialogue's cute. The dialogue's channeled. Okay, it's based on the original dialogue, but the way the stories were told, it's not in that higher art form of words.
Yeah, I would imagine, but we need a little bit of an elaborate version to get it.
Yeah, well, okay, that's my grandfather, in an Arapaho medicine man, said that I was going to be a word maker, a prayer maker. A prayer maker is what the Hawaiians dubbed it. But, those little things I say they're all channeled pieces, you know, whether I'm sitting with a stone or a human or they're all, yeah, just, they're riddles. Like, you know, prophecies are kind of like riddles, okay? That's the way I learned to look at them, and that's kind of how I look at the prayers I write, is that herein lies the key to today. If you can get yourself into the energy of what you're saying when you say the morning prayer, then you will be guided around the things that didn't seem so great, and you will be right there and present for the miraculous that will change lives.
Yeah.
And that's what I've learned growing up.
Well, the prayers are certainly a powerful tool, as much as also the bone rolling that you do with the stones that have all the symbols on it. How is that the major tool of divination, would you say, for spiral dance? For you
No, I made that up.
You made that up.
I made that up to help you guys.
Thank God you did.
No, those symbols kind of represent, and it's not kind of, they do represent, they're one of many symbols. We believe that each of the stones in the medicine wheel has an identity, and they carry their own medicine pouches of healing. So each guardian, if you will, then has their own bag of stones, which have their own medicine meaning, which have their. So I took basically the 24 stones of the medicine wheel, and I selected the one that I thought fit the best.
Oh, good.
And so I gave a teaching of 24.
So out of the 24 symbols, how many symbols are there as a whole in your symbol
I have
language?
no idea.
Because it's so vast.
It's picture writing. Think about it. You can write anything with picture writing.
It's true. Yeah, because the interesting thing is that it works so much like the tarot and like the runes.
Yeah.
It is so brilliant because once you start looking at it and you're rolling it and you continue to hear the correspondence that you have with it, with the Kyongs, with the colors, the guardians.
Well, you know, that's the 7 levels of who we are. And so, like, when people come in and they start working with us, I'm allowed to look at the first 5 levels because we're in the 5th world. The other 2 I'm not allowed to look at. Yeah, those are the game changers. Oh. Okay, because I have to live my life by prophecy just like everybody else. And to know the future with that much clarity is to change what will happen.
Oh, that's the interference. Yeah, that's on the timeline.
Yeah.
The time continuum.
Yeah, and the only way I can do the things I do, looking into those other 5 dimensions of information, is by staying present. Mm-hmm. Okay? It's not about tomorrow. It's not about yesterday. It's what I do with today that will affect both the others.
I have to ask, were you ever tempted? Are you capable of looking? Could you, if you wanted to?
Forward? No. Not without spontaneous combustion.
Okay.
And I like it here. I'm having a blast. Even when I was going through shit, right? Everybody's got their trauma. Look when we were born. It's about the history. It's not about... Yeah. I agreed to that. You know, I volunteered to come here and get the crap beat out of me. And then to find my own voice and pull out of it. Yeah. You know?
Speaking of voice, you're very not so inconspicuous, bright red arrowhead here. It's so beautiful. Tell us a little bit about, for those that don't know what this arrowhead is about, what it resembles, what it symbolizes, what it's...
Well, we have, in our creation story, in our mythology, you know, like a lot of philosophies, we have 2 twin men. I do not know. It seems to be a common thread, so there must be something to it. But somewhere out there, the planet gave birth to women because these guys got wives, okay? But in the beginning, there were these 2 guys, and when we were being handed our purpose in life, the sacred parents, Earth and Spirit, or Star Nations, however you want to look at that, they had two things. They had the plants, which was the medicine man, and they had the arrowhead, which was the guardian. And so they offered them, and the guy named Killer of Enemies, that was the oldest brother, he took the arrowhead. And the younger guy, Child of Water, he took the plant and he became the ultimate medicine man, kind of like a Jesus or Buddha figure in many aspects. Killer of Enemies, I've heard compared to Moses by some people. And that's a Christian aspect, so I don't really know a lot about that. I do kind of listen when they're talking about it and going, well, maybe. But the point was that Killer of Enemies, the lineage that came down through him, which is our lineage, Snake Clan, we opted to be guardians of life, to make sure life continued. And Killer of Enemies, that sounds like a really big badass, right? And the whole thing is we only have one enemy, and that's our fear.
Yeah, yep.
So when my students face their greatest fear, or the kids in our family face their greatest fear, we have a young man that's part of the family. He's a flint knapper. I used to get arrowheads from his dad. Now I get them from him. And he makes exquisite arrowheads. So when someone faces their greatest fear, we present them with an arrowhead, because it's a symbol of never going back. That you have what you need to cut away the past and change your future.
Well, if you would say, what is your greatest fear? Was your greatest fear?
What? You know.
Or when you got your arrowhead?
I got my arrowhead when I was 12.
Wow.
13, and it was made by my great-grandfather. So it was made in the early 1800s, and this man, who was the son of White Cloud and Little Star, and he created 13 arrowheads and gifted them all to my grandfather, who was the one that went on to become the Holy Man. Not after first... Okay, the Mexican army wanted his head. He was not a nice man, okay? He was a warrior in true tradition in the late 1800s, early 1900s, because the Apache Wars in Mexico didn't stop until 1920. He gave these 13 arrowheads to my grandpa, and lo and behold, there were 13 of us grandchildren. I was the last one. For a while, the arrowheads were in the Oklahoma City Museum. And the one that I originally had when I was 12, my son now wears. Jason has it. You can still see the numbers from the museum on it, the catalog numbers from when it was there. Half of them are worn off, but and so he is my great-grandfather reincarnate. So when we gifted that to him, it reactivated a lot of memories for him.
Wow.
And kind of changed his life around. You know, they're energy collectors, power tools themselves, right? And, you know, if I need to cut something, I take it off if I don't have my knife, and I use it. It's sharp, it's practical, it has... By the way, take them off when you're making love. Comes with a Surgeon General warning, and, you know, that's the kind of power that it carries. And it is constantly there to remind us to tell the truth. People that have gotten arrowheads that have fudged with the truth have not always had an easy time of it. Like, they'll come to circle and they'll have like a little nick. I'm like, you fudged, didn't you? Yeah. If you're gonna fudge, take it off. It'll get you eventually, though, because we don't have levels of integrity. We either are or we aren't, and it's the only thing we own.
Yeah.
Once you give away your integrity or your sense of self, it's real hard to get back. being true to yourself is the only integrity that is required to hold all other things in integrity. So it's not this big job. The only job is to be true to me. And everything else falls into place.
Did you always know that, or did you have to also acquire it through inner work?
No, I had to reclaim myself. Aside from Linda, there's been 2 husbands, both abusive. I was addicted to drugs. Not a nice person sometimes. Because, a lot of times when people that suffer substance abuse or pretty much any kind of abuse, a lot of times in the road to recovery of self, I don't want to get too hooked in like I'm friends with Bill. I am through friends. But I don't want people get hooked into that recovery kind of frame of mind that it's like constantly going like this, because it's not. Once we hit a certain spot, then it's solid, and you can go do things. I'm not going to say I would go do drugs, but I can walk into a crack house and not be afraid of what's happening and I have no desire to do it at all. Everything's about the beauty now. And when people want my help, it's about, can you accept the beauty in your life? Because the more you accept the beauty, the less the other's going to happen. Just one thing though, I believe in challenges. I don't believe everything's going to miraculously disappear, because we have the steps we have to take to grow. We're not at the one and done time yet. The growth is a process of learning how to hold more power, more integrity, more assurance about who you are. And that also takes a certain amount of humility. Confidence takes humility. We don't do it alone. I mean, I channeled everything, okay? So obviously I didn't do it alone. I was the scribe or the dictation machine or whatever, right? I write down what I hear, and I have a pretty damn good memory. The other side, near-death memories of being in council on the other side, lucid dreaming, actual out of body going into different dimensions and working. So, when you meet up on that side with other people and you're doing this kind of work and you're realizing, well, really, when we start to remember that we're actually coming over here, we can do 80% of the work on this side, and it makes it a hell of a lot easier on that side, or this side. We call this the shadow world, the one that we're in right now, and over there is the real world.
Yeah, I can relate to that for sure. If you got a new person coming to you that wants to expand their vision or anything that you have to offer, but they're kind of saying, I lost faith, or I'm an atheist, I don't really believe in anything, but somehow a part of them is still interested.
Yeah.
What do you say to somebody that says something like that doesn't really believe?
Well, most of the time I would point them towards an Earth Circle, Moon Lodge, something we're doing. I prefer them to be here for it, but a group experience so they can experience what we do. I don't want to say that they're wrong, because I'm not sure that they are, but I think, again, there's a lot of words that we've lost the true meaning of. And having grown up in traditional family, there's a lot of things I don't know I can say I've experienced that y'all go through.
Yeah. That's good. I like that.
I'll help you the best I can, but I think it's all in the experience. And, faith, dasha, to believe in something for no apparent reason. It's always been proved in my life that I could trust that. Right. Okay, so that's what I mean. Even when I was doing drugs and stuff, dasha was always there. It was always something I maintained. I talked to my friends that did drugs, because I'm still friends with them. The friends I did drugs with back in college and high school, and they're like, Yeah, fuck, Maria, you were preaching then, okay? You were writing your little pamphlets, sitting at the Grateful Dead concerts at the back. You didn't go for the concerts. You sat out back freezing your ass off to hand out these teachings, right?
Yeah.
And just let them fly to the four directions.
Yeah, you gave way to the collaboration. Let's close out with the prayer of life.
Okay. Nagotsen, awazana, yal, awazana, dalitse, degoyana, Nagotsen, ilditsi, pinu ichikase, shishiyukahi, dayane. We have come from the earth mother. We have come from the sky father. We have come into the circle to be all that we can be. We are all our relations. This is our prayer, and we are grateful. And so it is.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you for coming and spending some time with us.